When it comes to playtime, never let your squad down. Unlock elite gaming tech at Lenovo.com. Push your gameplay beyond performance with 13th Gen Intel Core processors. Upgrade to smooth, high-quality streaming with Intel Wi-Fi 6E. And maximize game performance with enhanced overclocking. Win the tech search and head to Lenovo.com.
Lenovo.
Did you know that parents rank financial literacy as the #1 most difficult life skill to teach? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app for families. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on what your kids are spending with real-time notifications. Kids learn to earn, save, and spend wisely. And parents can rest easy knowing their kids are learning about money with guardrails in place. Try Greenlight risk-free today at greenlight.com/iHeart.
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
You know, some people say that Odoo business management software is like fertilizer, the way it promotes growth and all. But other people say Odoo is like a magic beanstalk because it grows with your company and is also magically affordable. And there's some people who would even say Odoo's individual software programs come together to build the perfect suite like building blocks. Well, Odoo is all of these things. Fertilizer, magic beanstalk, building blocks for business. So sign up now at odoo.com. ODOO.com.
Welcome to the Perfect Night, Minneapolis. Simple Plan is coming to the Armory August 19th with special guest Bowling for Soup, 303 and Lolo. Don't miss out on a night of nostalgic early 2000s anthems. Tickets are on sale now. Get all the details at KFAN.com. Keyword calendar.
Couple 13-14 past Common Man program. I'm Common. He is Tenna B. That was a very controversial first hour. Break down the wolves, hold them accountable. No one else apparently wants to in this town. At least somebody is, and I've sort of adopted that as my, I wouldn't call it a job. It's more of a hobby. The Tough Love Covenant, we'd like to call it. Talked a little Purple. Some of the moves they've made, the rumors that Sauce Gardner might be on his way on a trade with for Jordan Addison. I don't believe it. And then, of course, we talked little Aaron Rodgers. Why wouldn't we? And go for hoops, that Ben Johnson has been dismissed as the head men's basketball coach. Let's move on. 1 o'clock hour. Time for 5, 3, 4.
Time now for 5 questions. Well, actually 3, but 5 sounds like more than 4. Question number 1. It's time now for the lowdown in Dinkytown.
As you just mentioned, men's basketball coach Ben Johnson was fired late last night after the Gophers lost to Northwestern in the opening round of the Big Ten tournament. Johnson's record was 56-71 overall in his career, 22-57 in Big Ten play in 4 seasons. The dismissal came at 1:22 a.m. last night. Common, do you have an issue with him getting fired at 1:22 a.m.?
What do you think he is, Adam Schefter? Is it Schefter that does the one at 2 o'clock? I don't know if there's any good time for it. I mean, if I'd rather be told sooner rather than later myself. Like if, I don't know if there's any real method. Like, for instance, the day they let me go, will they do it on a Friday or do they usually wait till Monday? I think they usually wait till Monday. They're like, well, let's just let him get through one more weekend thinking he's a radio god. God today, gone tomorrow, and then we'll let him go on Monday. I think that's how they generally do it. I'd rather just let me go on Friday. If it's going to happen, let it happen. I don't know why you would send the tweet out at 1 o'clock in the morning. It's almost like you're trying to hide it, right? It's the old, what do they call that? The news dump?
The Friday news dump.
Yeah, well, they're doing it on a Friday when
Friday night news dump.
Yeah, when everybody's checked out. So I don't know. It seems kind of odd. I don't know what to make of. Who's our is it
Coyle?
Coyle? I don't know what to make of Coyle. I mean, I don't know if he's good at his job or bad at his job. The Fleck thing seems to, for the most part, it's been okay. It's not been great, but at least he does win games.
For Minnesota standards.
Yeah, for Minnesota standards, it's been pretty good. I think Motzko has been nice, right?
Yeah.
That's a hire from him.
That's been good.
And then,
the two basketball programs.
Yeah.
He went the local route with both Lindsey Whalen and Ben Johnson. And
exactly. And then I'm not...
Both kind of inexperienced coaches. Correct. I know Ben had been an assistant coach for a while, but...
A couple of different places, but you're right.
Yeah.
Didn't have the head job. And
but younger, local
correct.
connections.
And then I don't know, is the volleyball program... Because it was McCutcheon stepped back, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know who took over. Are they good or bad? I don't know. Wrestling seems to be good, but I don't think that was a hire.
Baseball team lost was it 29-1 yesterday?
No, come on.
They lost to Kansas. Kansas had 5 consecutive home runs. Back to back to back to back to back.
I'm gonna start
I don't know if that's been done before.
I'm going to call them Bomba Squad. So, yeah, I don't know if it matters. But, yeah, it just seems kind of odd you would do it at 113, 114, whatever it is. What do you think? Are you?
Well, apparently the rationale was he wanted to tell them in person. So, they're the 2:30 game in Indianapolis. You fly back. I'm guessing that's just the time you had a chance. So I respect that. I would say just you don't need to send the press release out at 1:20. Just send it out at 8 o'clock in the morning. Because it does give out that vibe of, let's just dump this in the middle of the night and I'm going to be sleeping when they're all trying to get a hold of me and they're not going to be able to get a hold of me and we can try to avoid the media. I don't know. But ultimately, I'm not super offended by it. It does seem like some in the media seem to be annoyed by
everybody has to be annoyed about there has to be some type of friction. You have to be in a camp. You don't have to be in a camp on everything. You can just kind of roll your eyes, shrug your shoulder, and shake your head.
Never a good time to fire somebody.
Eat your roast beef and gravy with mashed potatoes. Second day in a row I've had this for lunch. I could eat it every day. Yeah, it's really good.
Question number 2.
Go Vikings, let's win this game. You'll hear us yell for more.
I don't think this is
it's now time to take an in-depth look at the state of the school.
I think.
Viking safety Harrison Smith, the hitman, or is the pick man, he'll return for his 14th season after agreeing to a new deal with the team for the 2025 season. The hitman will make $11 million with a $10.25 million base salary, up to $750,000 in roster bonuses, and he can earn another $3 million in incentives. Common, can the 36-year-old Harrison Smith still play at a high level for another season?
I think the Vikings obviously absolutely believe so, because they could have just said, it's been nice, but we're going in another direction. I don't think they would offer up that kind of money if they didn't think he had something left. I predicted this, by the way, in Nostradamus not long ago when I said, I know you have to take some time. When you think it might be the end of the end of the end, you want to take some time and let the heat blow over and cool down from the season after the 2 tough losses to end the year before you make a decision. But I thought waiting this long, I figured he wanted to play again. You've not won a title. I think I read where he's only played in 8 playoff games. You look at the makeup of the club, especially after what they've done in free agency, and you think to yourself, we might be able to make another push here. We're going to be in contention. We should be contending for a division title, certainly a playoff spot, you would think. Again, all on paper. And so, I brought this up a couple of times just over the last few days about, maybe it was in regards to A-Rod. Once you decide to retire in sports, it's pretty much over for you. Tend to be, you could work your job. I hope you're not here when you're 65, but look at me. I can, as long as they'll have me and I can keep moving.
I hope I'm not in this position when I'm 65.
I get that. As long as I can keep moving my lips and generate a good report card, I can probably keep my job as long as I want. You can play. But in sports, man, no one beats Father Time. And so if you're Smith, you go, God, if I quit now, I guess it would be over. So do I want to milk one more year? It's easier to milk one more year out of it than quit and second guess yourself. So I thought he would come back, and I think he does have. You've heard me. I say, in regards to golf, and I don't have any talent, so I really don't have a choice here. But if you said I'd give you a load of talent or a load of cunning and guile, I'll take cunning and guile every time. And I think I don't know, is Hitman a half step slower? Maybe he is. I don't know, but there's nothing he hasn't seen. And I think he likes playing for B-Flow. B-Flow likes having him out there. I think it's a good move for the Purple. Yeah. And so I think it was a wise decision for both of them.
Question number 3.
It's now time to take an in-depth look at the welfare of the Wolves.
The Wolves are now 3-0 against the Nuggets this season after winning 115-95 last night in Denver. Minnesota has won 5 straight against Denver going back to last year's playoffs. Comment out of all the potential playoff matchups in the Western Conference for the Wolves, should Denver be the highest on their list?
I don't know. I suppose Denver could have been mailing it in. You know, teams like to do that. We just talked about that in an entire segment, teams mailing in. I suppose the team I don't want to play is Golden State. I think Golden State's going to win the NBA title.
Oh my gosh.
So I wouldn't want to play Golden State. That's the team I wouldn't want to play. And yeah, Denver, I mean, with the track record, 5, did you say they won 5 in a row against them?
5 in a row against Denver.
Yeah, why not then? They do seem to have their number. I tend to agree with you on the depth part. And so, and we're gelling and stacking is what we're doing.
I will say when the Karl Anthony Towns trade went down before the season, my first hesitation with it was, well, if we play Denver in a playoff series, we're in trouble because he was the best defensively against Joker in last year's 7-game series, and a big reason why the Wolves advanced. And I'm thinking to myself, well, because I don't think Gobert can defend him. I don't think Naz Reid is physical enough to defend him, yet here they are 3-0 against Denver this season and handled them pretty easily last night.
Speaking of Joker, was a note I saw. What I do with my phone? Oh, it's in my back pocket. And I wrote this note down in my notes section because I thought it was that important. A little bit of prep work today. It's about Joker. Here's what it says, Timothy. No player since 1950. That's when they first started counting rebounds. Think about it. Until 1950, they didn't even count rebounds for a player and put it into his stat sheet. No player since 1950 has been top 3 in points, rebounds, and assists. And that's where he is right now. He's like second, and third, I think. Scoring, rebounds, and assists. I mean, that's just an astonishing a statistic. And is he averaging a triple-double this year?
Well, he had a game recently where he had over 20 points, over 20 rebounds, over 20 assists in one game.
Yeah, and I think it was maybe even been over 30 points. But yeah, you're right. He's just, and word on the street, the basketball community, if they were going to, the odds-on favorite to win the MVP apparently is it Shea? SGA? I'm not saying he shouldn't get it, doesn't deserve it, but when you're talking about no player since 1950 has been top 3 in points, rebounds, and assists, hard to ignore him. Now, he's already won a couple. How many's Joker won? Two for sure, right?
Definitely 2.
Yeah, maybe even 3. So, let's go ahead. We'll dispatch Denver quickly. That shouldn't be hard. I think that's at worst a gentleman's sweep, right? Beat them 4-1. But I think we can sweep them right off the floor.
And that's it for today's edition of 5 Questions. Well, actually 3 questions, but 5 sounds like more than 4.
Controversial Vikings news, other side of the break. Common Man program on the Fan.
It's tax season, and by now, I know we're all a bit tired of numbers. But here's an important one you need to hear. $16.5 billion. That's how much money in refunds the IRS flagged for possible identity fraud last year. Here's another, 20%. That's the overall increase in identity theft related to tax fraud in 2024 alone. But it's not all grim news. Here's a good number, 100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every second. If your identity is stolen, LifeLock's US-based restoration specialists will fix it, backed by another good number, the $1 Million Protection Plan. In fact, restoration is guaranteed or your money back. Don't face identity theft and financial losses alone. There's strength in numbers with LifeLock Identity Theft Protection for tax season and beyond. Join now and save up to 40% your first year. Call 1-800-LifeLock and use promo code IHEART or go to lifelock.com/iHeart for 40% off. Terms apply.
When it comes to playtime, never let your squad down. Unlock elite gaming tech at Lenovo.com. Push your gameplay beyond performance with 13th Gen Intel Core processors. Upgrade to smooth, high-quality streaming with Intel Wi-Fi 6E. And maximize game performance with enhanced overclocking. Win the tech search and head to Lenovo.com.
Lenovo. Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, everybody. So when you get asked, what is Odoo, what comes to mind? Well, I'll tell you. Odoo is a bit of everything. Odoo is a suite of business management software that some people say is like fertilizer because of the way it promotes growth. But, you know, some people also say that Odoo is like a magic beanstalk because it grows with your company and is also magically affordable.
Ooh. But then again, you could look at Odoo in terms of how its individual software programs are a lot like building blocks. Whatever your business needs, manufacturing, accounting, HR programs, you can build a custom software suite that's perfect for your company. So what is Odoo? Well, Odoo is a bit of everything. Odoo is a fertilizer, magic beanstalk, building blocks for business. Yeah, that's it.
Which means that Odoo is exactly what every business needs. Learn more and sign up now at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.
It's the final NCHC Frozen Face-Off at XL Energy Center on March 21st and 22nd. You could be there for it. Head over to our contest page and register for a chance to win a pair of tickets to both days. That's KFAN.com. Keyword contest to enter.
This long, they would just leave me alone.
Who's they?
The coroner's office. He just ducked his head in here. Getting ready. Can't wait to hear you pay off that tease, because I said controversial Vikings news, which leads him to believe I've got nothing. Which, going into the tease, I didn't have anything. I didn't know where I was going. I was focused on finishing my lunch. Do you know how good? You like roast beef, Tenemy?
Oh, of course.
I mean, it's so good with mashed potatoes and gravy. I got a grapefruit for a little bit later. Looking forward to that. So I didn't have anything. And I guess, to be honest, I still don't. Because he interrupted me when I was about to, to take a quick peek at CBS.
He wants you to be prepared, but he prevents you from preparing.
That's exactly right, by coming in here and bothering me as I'm trying to finish up. Should we talk more Aaron Rodgers, or should we just pass on that for a while?
Is it something new?
Well, no.
Or different twist on it?
Not really. Here's a story I did see, though, but they have no name to this. We just talked about it. You asked me in 534. I think it was your first question. What was your take or your opinion on Ben Johnson getting fired after they flew back, get fired, and then they announced they released it at 1:15? Kyle Boone writes for CBS Sports. He's a college basketball writer, very highly regarded, from what I understand. Here's the headline. Minnesota fires Ben Johnson. Ruthless decision came overnight after first-round exit in the Big Ten tournament. Coyle, I think you maybe read part of the statement. If you didn't, it said, I met with Ben in person earlier this morning when the team returned to Minneapolis from the Big Ten men's basketball tournament and informed him that we were making a change in leadership. I thanked him for his dedication and for guiding the program, one he cares deeply about him for the last 4 years. Ben's a terrific person, and we wish him well. These decisions are difficult and are made after careful consideration and evaluation. The expectation for our program is to compete for championships. And unfortunately, we have not done that in the last 4 years. Ain't that the truth? Then here's what it says. The way Johnson was canned was atypical in this regard. Coyle is on the men's basketball selection committee, which began its process to build the NCAA tournament field in Indiana yesterday. Coyle flew back in secrecy to Minneapolis late Wednesday to fire Johnson. One source told CBS Sports it was ruthless. Well, he wanted to fire him in person. What do you mean he left in secrecy? Was he supposed to announce, by the way, I'm flying back to Minneapolis to fire the coach? I don't even know how it's considered.
Yeah.
You can say firing him at midnight or 1 o'clock, whatever it was, and issuing a release at that point wasn't maybe the best bedside manner, the way to handle it. But calling it ruthless, it's like I don't know. I don't know what they mean. Maybe I don't understand the definition of the word ruthless.
I think ruthless would be like firing without even telling him.
Right.
Like he finds out through the media.
Right. That would be ruthless.
He finds out via Twitter.
So I don't necessarily look at that as ruthless. But, in one of my basketball connections, somebody that knows the program well, played college basketball. I asked him for his thoughts on, and he was a Ben Johnson guy. He said, he says the portal and lack of nil money is really, really what it's all about. He says the Gophers paid their entire roster somewhere between $1.25 million and $1.5. The starting five of most Big Ten teams is in the range of $3 million to $5 million. Money is everything. And I don't think it's everything. I don't even think it's the only thing. I do think it plays a large part. You would be foolish to think it doesn't. Let's look at Major League Baseball, for instance. Now, the caveat there, if that's the right word I'm using, if I'm using the word in its proper context, is the Dodgers, the Mets, and the Yankees historically spend the most money, but they don't always win the world. Now, the Dodgers did last year. They spent the most money, or maybe second to the Yankees, whichever where they were. I think they're the top team now, or maybe Mets are top. Those three seem to, leapfrog each other who spends the most money. But if you look back on a major, and, I would be willing to guess that in most cases, the teams that win the World Series are top 10 in salary, though we've seen sometimes where they're not. We've seen Kansas City steal a World Series recently. Was that 2018? 2016, 2017, 2018. We've seen teams win that don't spend the most money, but no one would deny that, the more money you spend on clothes, the better you look, unless you're meat sauce. But it's not just all about money. I had the conversation with somebody the other day, and it was more in regards to Gopher football. This person I know is a big Gopher supporter, loves Fleck, thinks Fleck is doing a spectacular job. And, you and I mentioned Fleck a little bit earlier. I think, and you said it right, for Minnesota standards, for where we've been, where we're going, where we're at, Fleck's probably done a mighty fine job, right? But, when it comes to nil money, if you don't have it, then this is how you judge your coach, to me. And it's hard. I'm not saying this is easy. I don't even know if this guy exists. But if you don't have nil money, then you're not going to get the McDonald's All-Americans and the Culver's All-Americans, the Burger King All-Americans, the In-N-Out All-Americans, the Whataburger All-Americans, which are my favorite, the Whataburger. And then there's the Five Guys, and you name your burger franchise, and I'll give you your All-American list. What you have to be able to do, this, I think, to me, this is how in lieu of nil money, and maybe you can't do it without nil money. Maybe now it is impossible. But the only way you put together a team that can compete and fight back against nil, and maybe with success doing it this way, you might attract nil money. Maybe more people would be willing to. Is you got to get the C players and coach them up to B players, and you get your B players and coach them up to A players. That's how you do it. And I'm not even saying that's easy. As a matter of fact, when it's a whole roster of football players, you're not going to coach every C player up to B and every B player up to an A. But you do it to enough of them, and all of a sudden the team's surprising people. Like the Gophers did that one year when they finished the season. Were we 11-2? We were ranked 10th in the nation in the final college football poll. That was Fleck's best year. Was that 3 years ago now? And if you were able to build on that, and that was doing it without any nil money, and that was doing it with just coaching guys up, and I don't know, maybe the schedule a little weaker that year. I don't know. We got our cupcakes and our Hostess cupcakes and our Dolly Madison U's early in the season. and maybe our Big Ten schedule. When you get to skip Ohio State in Michigan, that's pretty good. The Ohio State and the school up north, when you skip those. But you can fight against nil money, but it's hard. And, we talked about it in the very first segment. I don't know why. Someone said, well, just because you're a Fortune 500 guy, maybe you didn't grow up here, and maybe you weren't a member of the U, so maybe you don't want to invest any money. I don't have an answer as to why we have nil money. Someone also sent a text, and they said, now, he claims this is what JG has said. So, I guess I'm putting words in JG's mouth, and he didn't say this. He can always defend himself. But he said he tends to feel like it's because we have 4 sports franchises in town. That's an excuse that's often thrown up, right? Or a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe excuses.
They're not the show
right
in town.
Exactly. Like we're in is University of Alabama in Tuscaloosa.
Sure.
If you're the only game in town in Tuscaloosa, you're the only game in town down in Shreveport. I don't know if there's a school in Shreveport. Just trying to think of some of my southern cities that have
Lincoln
programs. In Lincoln,
Madison.
Yeah, right. I don't know, but sure could use money. It wouldn't hurt, that's for sure. Your Wild Club, Tennessee, they're clinging to a playoff spot by the skin of their teeth. It's time for Wild Today.
Yeah, this is Wild Today brought to you by Jim Beam, the official bourbon of the Minnesota Wild. Good news for the Wild. Defenseman Jonas Brodin was skating with Andy Ness before today's morning skate. So he at least is back on the ice. Kirill Kaprizov and Joel Eriksson Ek, however, have yet to begin skating. The Wild host the New York Rangers tonight at XL Energy Center. The Rangers enter this game with a 31-28-6 record, just 2 points back of Columbus for the final spot in the Eastern Conference playoffs. Wild have 7-point leads over both Calgary and Vancouver in the West. They are the 8th and 9th place teams. The Canucks beat the Flames 4-3 last night in a shootout. Wild will have the same lineup they had in their 2-1 shootout win over Colorado on Tuesday. Philip Gustafsson will get the net for Minnesota. Igor Shesterkin will be getting the start in net for New York. Wild and Rangers tonight at 7 p.m. at the X. You can hear that game right here on the Fan. Pregame at 6:45. That was Wild Today, brought to you by Jim Beam, a crowd pleaser since 1795.
When it comes to playtime, never let your squad down. Unlock elite gaming tech at Lenovo.com. Push your gameplay beyond performance with 13th Gen Intel Core processors. Upgrade to smooth, high-quality streaming with Intel Wi-Fi 6E. And maximize game performance with enhanced overclocking. Win the tech search and head to Lenovo.com.
Lenovo.
Hey, everybody. So when you get asked, what is Odoo, what comes to mind? Well, I'll tell you, Odoo is a bit of everything. Odoo is a suite of business management software that some people say is like fertilizer because of the way it promotes growth. But, some people also say that Odoo is like a magic beanstalk because it grows with your company and is also magically affordable.
Oh, but then again, you could look at Odoo in terms of how its individual software programs are a lot like building blocks. Whatever your business needs, manufacturing, accounting, HR programs, you can build a custom software suite that's perfect for your company. So what is Odoo? Well, Odoo is a bit of everything. Odoo is a fertilizer, magic beanstalk, building blocks for business. Yeah, that's it.
Which means that Odoo is exactly what every business needs. Learn more and sign up now at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.
Get this. Adults with financial literacy skills have 82% more wealth than those who don't. From swimming lessons to piano classes, us parents invest in so many things to enrich our kids' lives. But are we investing in their future financial success? With Greenlight, you can teach your kids financial literacy skills like earning, saving, and investing. And this investment costs less than that after-school treat. Start prioritizing their financial education and future today with a risk-free trial at greenlight.com/iHeart. Greenlight.com/iHeart.
It's got a nice bass riff to it.
Want to chime in on what's happening with your favorite KFAN program? Make your voice heard on the Brad, Sean, Brian text line. Let us know what you have to say by texting your message to 64686. That's 64686. Standard message and data rates apply.
One of my favorite boomer artists, just coming to town again to the Dakota. Dave Mason, formerly of Traffic.
That sounds like a heck of a concert. I might want to show up with some friends.
I think that's a mighty fine idea. Couple 13-14 passed. Someone said they texted me. I don't know, maybe I can find it and read it because it was stated quite eloquently but incorrectly. It says, text message says, Coach Finch. I just like when adults who don't play for him call a guy coach. It's one of my pet peeves. Coach Finch. You don't play for him. Would you refer to somebody who working the counter at Speedway? Would you call them Clerk Johnson, if the last name was Johnson? No, you wouldn't. Coach Finch was on PA show, and I remember quite well because you never have anyone prominent on your show. He said we basically let Joker do his thing, and apparently it's working. Never have anyone prominent on the show. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 2 o'clock, Mark Rosen.
Yes.
Is there anybody more prominent?
Nobody.
He's the legendary Mark Rosen. So it's like, we're happy for Coach Finch and the national treasure being on, once it's Rosen's got the insight, the knowledge, the memory. He's got everything. He's prominent. Trust me. We have somebody prominent on. This, what was I going to say? JG's getting ripped.
Ooh.
Here's a text that said, remember I said JG, somebody sent a text to me that said JG says, one of the problems, if not the biggest, but one of the problems is there are 4 pro sports teams here in town, and the Gopher athletic programs kind of get lost in the shuffle, right? Chris says, University of Houston, from the small town of Houston, Texas, is ranked 2nd. St. John's is in a tiny place called New York City. They're top 10. JG needs a new excuse. I like that. Cheap shot. Shaking at the tasteless box of mashed potatoes. Hard to argue. Well, they're both pretty big markets. New York, number 1. Houston, I think, is number 4 or 5. 6 at the most. So it can be done. And, New York, not only do they have 4 pro teams, they basically have 8, don't they? They have like 2 in every sport in New York City. So there's, they have a larger population to draw from. They got 12 million people, but still, if you divvy it all up. And then Houston's got, they don't have hockey, right? I don't think Houston has a hockey club, but they've got several baseball teams, several football teams, several basketball teams. So it's not just that there are pro teams.
When the Gophers have had good teams in this market, it doesn't happen very often, but when they've had plenty of attention, plenty of fans.
Speaking of St. John's, they're the number 1 seed out of the Big East. They just beat Butler in the Big East tournament, 78-57. And Brad Stevens hasn't done much with this Butler squad in a long time, Timothy. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there was a time where he took tiny little Butler and he elevated him to 2 championship, I think Final Four, maybe even championship game. Didn't he win a national title with Butler? Or did he not win?
Definitely got there.
Yeah.
I think they'd lose to Duke, maybe.
And so I was watching a little bit of the game here. He doesn't even look like Brad Stevens on the sideline anymore. I just think he's changed. I think it's just sucked the life out of him. So Butler just not having the success. So when is Brad Stevens going to be on the hot seat in Butler? Or does he have enough cachet that he took his team so deep that he can basically stay as long as he wants? Maybe.
So they made the national championship game in 2010 and 2011, but lost both. Lost to Duke and lost to Connecticut. UConn. Yeah, quite the fall from grace, though.
Yeah. And
they haven't even been to the tournament since 2018.
Yeah. Talk about having a long rope. And do you think if they ever do let Brad Stevens go from Butler, they'll do it on a text at 1:15 in the morning? I don't think so. They'll call a major news conference. But that's what you gain when you take a little tiny school like that and get them.
In their defense, though, it's in Indianapolis. They've got the Colts there.
Yes.
They've got the Pacers there.
Yep.
Do they have anything else?
Let's just call it Colts and Pacers. I think that's Yeah. You have 2 major pros.
Yeah, how are you going to handle that?
It's difficult to handle that. Exactly right. And there you go. I mentioned yesterday that Deuce, my firstborn, created from my loins, has been he's been dabbling in media a little bit. He started back when he was like 3 years old here on the Fan. He's been on the Fan. Tennessee, he's actually been on the Fan, I think, longer than you have almost. Right? How many years have you and I been together? 20?
Almost 20.
Deuce is 22, and he's breaking. A-Rod's coming to Minnesota. We traded Jordan Addison for Sauce Gardner.
This is actually much more sad news.
Oh.
John Feinstein, sports commentator and best-selling author, dies at the age of 68.
No.
Yeah.
My word. He was on with Barrero all the time. He was the guy we used to kind of poke fun at because he said he couldn't get out of bed for 3 days after finishing a book.
Yes.
Does it say how John... What
I'll have to get into the story.
Died? Wow. I didn't have any idea that. I had not heard. Some people don't, you don't hear anything, and maybe I'm just not paying attention, but I don't. I at least skim the sports sections every day from all across the globe, and I at least thought I would have heard about it. That's unfortunate. I was on with Barrero all the time. Great stuff. I mean, glib, well-spoked. Very, what's the word I'm looking for? Very articulate is the word I would use. And great writer,
His brother Robert confirmed the death, but said the cause was not immediately clear. Sounds like he died suddenly.
I mean, he's wrote literally hundreds of books, I think. I don't know if it's been that many, but yeah, prolific writer. Great guest. So, yeah, that's too bad. May he rest in peace. Yeah, we also had... Who had Jesse the Governor Ventura on most recently from Vikings training camp 2 years ago? Is that not prominent enough for you? How prominent is Governor Ventura? Former wrestler, action movie figure,
national star,
mayor, governor, conspiracy theory, television talk show host.
Movie star.
What are they talking about? Walter, the Secretary of Insight, whom we haven't heard from in a long, long time. I get text messages or emails from people all the time. Could you put up the bat signal for Walter? Because remember we were worried about Walter? Walter used to call in all the time to talk about Utah Jazz basketball. And then he hadn't called in like 6 months to a year when we put out the bat signal, and he heard. Somebody got it to him and he called up, so we knew he was still alive and well. Every now and then I know it's kind of hard to tell, but I'm still alive and well. Maybe Walter wants to call in sometime in the not too distant future. But yesterday, so Deuce started about the same time you did on radio. Probably been a bit more successbeen than you have. No offense. I'm just doing the
not
cheap
saying
shot.
much.
Yeah, I'm just doing the cheap shot. Anyway, Deuce, and now he's been working for the Lincoln Stars, running their in-game camera, where like if they do crowd shots, Deuce is the one with the camera. He now convinced the higher-ups there on their streaming service that they stream the games to let him do the Kevin Gorg between-period interviews. And he sent me 2 of them. And I mentioned them yesterday on the radio, and I've had a number of people. And this warms the cockles of my heart. They said, we'd like to hear how Deuce did, so let's do that, Tenneby. 2 different interviews. They're both very short. They run a minute and a half. Is this the one with the gum chewing?
No, that one's second.
That's the second one. Here's the non-gum chewing one.
By the way, he wears the Stars jersey? Is that like the...
Yes,
yeah.
He's wearing the Stars jersey while he does it.
I'm Deuce Cole, and I'm here with Bruno Eason of your Lincoln Stars. Bruno, you're playing in your 25th game tonight. You joined us at about the midway point of the season. What did that process look like of coming to play in Lincoln, Nebraska, of all places, getting recruited here?
Yeah, it's something much different than what I come from and what I experienced before, so it took some getting used to, but I think I'm going in the right direction.
You're averaging just about 1.5 points a game. You've been lighting up the lamp real frequently with goals, packing some nice assists in. How are you managing to make plays so often on the ice?
Just playing what I learned through all the years of playing hockey and playing smart, hard, and just hard. That's it.
The first period was real successful. Second one didn't go quite as well as you had hoped. What do you guys need to do to finish out the game and get the W?
Yeah, just stick to the game plan, cut their rims on the boards a lot, and create more offense, kill all defense, everything in the defensive zone, and yeah, I love it.
This is Bruno Egan of your Lincoln Stars. Thank you very much. Good luck the rest of the game.
Hokey. Does he say we were playing hooky or hockey? I couldn't tell which one it was. Sometimes when you watch a club play, as bad as they play, they are playing hooky. I told Deuce to slow down a little bit. I mean, he's trying to go quick because it's between periods. But you complimented him. You said you thought
he did a really good job, yeah.
For having never done it before. That's his very first interview.
Better than what I would have done, yeah.
He got cocky in a second when he was chewing gum, confidently. And you tell me, because Deuce saw the video as well, did it look like he was, I thought it looked like he was confident in chewing his gum.
I don't know if there's another way to chew your gum, but yeah.
That's true. Here's his second interview. This was between periods again.
All right, I'm Daniel. I'm here with Jack McCarr of the Lincoln Stars. Jack, typically these past Omaha games, you've got out to really quick starts and put up a lot of goals on the board. Last game, you started out the first period 4-0. This one a little bit slower. What was different tonight?
I don't think we had the start that we wanted to, but towards the end of the period, we started building in the right direction. So I think that's what we have to do moving into the second here.
Jack, you scored a goal with your grandparents in attendance. I saw them just up in the stands, and Jared actually pointed them out to me. What does it mean to score with your grandparents watching that?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're my biggest supporters. I mean, they come out here a lot. They're always supporting me at all my games, and yeah, it's nice to be able to do something when they're actually here watching.
What do you boys need to do to keep the momentum going forward and get the W?
I think just compete all night. Wasn't a great first 20, but I think just focus on playing a complete 40 here coming up, and just staying hard on pucks and competing.
Got it. Thank you very much. That's Jack McCarr, the Lincoln Stars, and I'm Daniel.
So with Deuce Cole the first time and Daniel the second time.
Yeah, he's changing it up.
Maybe they're trying to make it sound like they have a bigger air staff than they really do. People won't know who is who on that. Sounds like the last guy we heard. I thought he did a nice job.
Yeah, he did it really well.
And here's what's really interesting. He reached out to Kevin Gorg because he just wanted to sit down. He likes to sit down with a lot of the media people in town and just say, how did you get your start? Where you been, where you're going, where you're at? Kevin Gorg agreed to meet with him, and he met with him for like a half hour, 45 minutes. Kevin had some really nice things.
Gorg's the best.
Yeah, he had a lot of nice things to say to me about Deuce. And here's what I'm thinking. You heard what Deuce just did. Could Kevin Gorg have been giving advice to his replacement? I mean, could it?
Do you think he was intentionally giving Deuce bad advice for fear?
Maybe that's what it was. I mean, what if next year Deuce is doing between periods at Wild and Kevin Gorg is doing the prediction segment with us? I mean, anything's possible. I don't think Gorg has got anything to worry about, but Deuce seems like he's a quick study. I did a nice job for him. I mean, done it before. So, and look, we wish Gorg the best. Much like Coyle wishes Ben Johnson the best in his future endeavors, we're going to wish Gorg the best in his future.
Well, I'll be watching Wild versus Rangers tonight, 7:00.
Okay.
If that first shot they cut down to Kevin Gorg in between the benches and he's chewing gum while he's talking, right. I'll know where he picked up that from.
Correct. He would have seen Deuce and goes, well, either Deuce Cole or Daniel, whichever one he was watching. I guess he'd have been watching Daniel in order to see the confident chewing gum. Maybe Gorg will pick up on that. So we'll just have to wait and see. Yeah, there's a number of people that are, what else to be said? We said we don't have, what did he say? We didn't have anybody prominent on the airwaves?
Yeah.
Someone said, what about your doctor pal you had on during COVID? That would be your friend.
Yeah, baby.
Oh, wrong button, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Dr. Doug Casper, the
infectious disease doctor. We were saving lives.
At the University of Illinois, Peoria.
Yes.
And he was brilliant. Well, he is brilliant.
Well, he's the smartest person I've ever met.
Just... And I think I told you, I texted about the measles thing. I said, look, should and everything he spelled out, I read later. If you had a measles vaccine, they didn't give it out till 1963. So I was born at 58. So if your parents didn't take you in for the MMRs at mumps, measles, rubella, if they didn't bring you in for that, you didn't get it. And then the story said, and this is what Dr. Doug said, was that between 63 and like 67 or something, or 68, it wasn't really that great of a vaccine, and they improved it or something like that. So
they upgraded. They learned.
Yeah, they learned and they upgraded into whatever they did. So, but he did say, I don't think we're going to have a national outbreak, but makes me, you know me, I love vaccines anyways. I know a lot of people don't. It's been a very controversial subject, so I don't really want to go down that road. I don't know what camp you're in, Tennessee, but one pill makes you larger and the other one makes you small. The other ones that mothers give you doesn't do anything at all. So it would to each his own on that.
I'm in the camp of listening to infectious disease doctors when it comes to
that's what I do. Yeah,
infectious diseases.
Yeah,
that's the camp I'm in.
That's me too, and that's why I go the same route you do. One more thing before we break. Going back to the Gopher basketball team, the for those that didn't learn, the news broke at 1:13 this morning. I don't know how you couldn't have heard about it by now. But Ben Johnson, relieved of his duties as head basketball coach, the Minnesota Golden Gophers. I think he had 4 years. He also had to let go of Lindsey Whalen, and that was kind of weird. It was kind of like, do you want to resign or do you want to be fired? I think we
never did get the full story on that, did we?
Did he fire whoever Fleck replaced?
Yeah, that was. Yeah, I mean, he had to. Okay. Yeah.
And so the question has come in from a couple of people.
That was Jerry Kill, wasn't
it? And the text has come in from several people with the same topic. It says, well, when is the guy that's hiring all these people going to be on the hot seat? And that's a valid question.
Yeah, baby. Keep hitting the wrong button.
And that's a valid question, wouldn't you say?
Above average.
I mean, if you are an athletic director at a major university, a Power 5 conference, and most of your hires haven't gone. I mean, so far it's been the Pitino thing. He hired Pitino, right? Or was that the guy before that?
He hired Pitino.
Okay, so Pitino, and that didn't go. Now he's got Ben Johnson. That didn't go.
Can we get Pitino back?
Well, I don't know if he'd come back or not. Lindsey Whalen didn't work. Now, the coach we have now, she's highly regarded. I don't think the season went real well. I think they did have some injury issues this year. Their best player was her name Braun. I think she was injured for a lot of the season, maybe missed most of the last part of the season. I'm not paying as close attention to Minnesota Golden Gopher women's basketball as I once did, but she's. I think as the cliche goes, the jury is still out on her. But in the big hires that the money generating sports, men's basketball, men's football, I guess you could say. I don't know what the average Gopher fan. I don't know what the majority opinion is on PJ Fleck. I'm more than lukewarm. I mean, I have to admit that I think it's gone a little bit better than I thought it would, but I still don't think, it's like you said earlier, it's not as though there wasn't much to compare it to because it's been so bad. I used to say all the time, almost every coach that preceded Fleck had one of those years where you go, wow, maybe we're on to something here. Is this team put together a nice regular season record? Won a couple of big games, maybe even won one of the trophy games. And then it always seemed like the very next year, the rug would get pulled out from under them and they would go back to being a terrible team in a terrible city with terrible fans, terrible stadium, terrible cheerleaders, terrible concessions, terrible campus, terrible this, terrible that. And, well,
Mark Coyle's standard is to win championships here.
That's it.
So PJ hasn't done that yet.
That's it. By the way, it's not Coyle, it's athletic director Coyle.
Sorry, athletic AD.
Much like it's Coach Finch to you as well. So just always remember that. So, and then, there is the idea who is going to replace him. And, the Saunders kid's name has come up. That's a name that's being floated around. He was at the University of Minnesota. He coached Minnesota Timberwolves for a while.
The names that always float are always Minnesota connections.
They seem to be most of the time.
That's the only names we bring up.
The one name, is it Dutcher's kid? Is that the name that comes up? Doesn't Jim Dutcher's son been like Alabama or Auburn or something and done a really good job? People wanted him. I think he even said he wanted the Musselman kid, right? Doesn't Musselman have a kid that's been successful that he would have worked? There were people that wondering why.
Brian Dutcher is at San Diego State.
There you go. And there were a lot of, and I think he would have, from what I remember, and maybe I'm wrong, but I thought he openly campaigned for the job at one time. So I don't know. We'll see what Mark Rosen thinks. Mark Rosen's a big Dunkers Club guy. He's been at Dunkers before. He spoke at Dunkers. He's a big University of Minnesota guy. We'll see what he thinks about the dismissal of Ben Johnson and who he thinks might be next in line to coach the Golden Gopher basketball team. That and other topics with Rosie. He's next. Common Man program here on The Fan.
Your stomach is a mess and you feel lousy. Something is just off, but you don't know what. Yeah, we get it. You've tried every fad diet and supplement under the sun, and none of it worked. Here's the truth. Your gut's a mess, and your body is letting you know. You're just too busy, and you ignore the signs, making it worse. Viome gets straight to the point, analyzing your gut microbiome to give you a personalized health plan that actually works. Your gut is how your body processes everything that you consume. Stop ignoring the signs. It's time to do something real. Get Viome and fix your gut now. Dial **gut to get $110 off any test. That's *488 to receive a link to the offer.
It's tax season, and by now, I know we're all a bit tired of numbers. But here's an important one you need to hear. $16.5 billion. That's how much money in refunds the IRS flagged for possible identity fraud last year. Here's another, 20%. That's the overall increase in identity theft related to tax fraud in 2024 alone. But it's not all grim news. Here's a good number, 100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every second. If your identity is stolen, LifeLock's US-based restoration specialists will fix it, backed by another good number, the $1 Million Protection Plan. In fact, restoration is guaranteed or your money back. Don't face identity theft and financial losses alone. There's strength in numbers with LifeLock Identity Theft Protection for tax season and beyond. Join now and save up to 40% your first year. Call 1-800-LifeLock and use promo code IHEART or go to lifelock.com/iHeart for 40% off. Terms apply.
You know, some people say that Odoo business management software is like fertilizer, the way it promotes growth and all. But other people say Odoo is like a magic beanstalk because it grows with your company and is also magically affordable. And there's some people who would even say Odoo's individual software programs come together to build the perfect suite like building blocks. Well, Odoo is all of these things. Fertilizer, magic beanstalk, building blocks for business. So sign up now at odoo.com, ODOO.com.
When it comes to playtime, never let your squad down. Unlock elite gaming tech at Lenovo.com. Push your gameplay beyond performance with 13th Gen Intel Core processors. Upgrade to smooth, high-quality streaming with Intel Wi-Fi 6E. And maximize game performance with enhanced overclocking. Win the tech search and head to Lenovo.com.
Lenovo.